Good day, good morning, friends, and we are going to continue our discussion. This week has been around counseling skills. I started off Sunday. I'm just going to kind of restart there. It's like Sunday and yesterday, we talked a lot about learning how to be deeply, authentically curious with what's happening with our clients, because the tendency in all of us people who do this work, this level work, is it's in every one of us. So if you don't think you have it, I want you to check a little bit, and it's fine if you do, because without a little bit of that, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you so deeply invested in going deeper and deeper and deeper. But there might be bits of savior complex in us. The reason I'm sharing that is because it's not necessarily the worst thing ever, but learning how to shift that, because that's gonna create a lot of frustration in you because of what I'm going to talk about today. The reason sometimes after the first couple sessions and the excitement of something new and maybe it's going to help me has worn off is that our clients often have something I call a nourishment barrier. So this is something that I thought was oh, look at me, I have this really cool title, nourishment barrier, I've been using for years, and come to find out oh, there's actually a theory out there about that. So I can't take credit. I don't know where I felt that or heard that from, but anyway, it's a real thing. And one of the reasons why our clients do really well at the beginning, and then, things start to not slow down, but there's kind of a one step forward, one step, maybe 3/4 step back kind of thing that is happening. And it's because of this nourishment barrier. And you can't rescue people from it or out of it. Our job is to notice that it's there. And that's where you get to use your motivational interviewing questions, your Hakomi style eliciting questions you often hear me use, like scared, huh? I'm really just eliciting the body feeling sensation. I'm not even asking a big long sentence sometimes. It just depends on the moment. So anyway, just sharing all that with you, that a nourishment barrier, what that really means is that we either have, and this is normal with pretty much most people who have food or body image stuff, is there's this prohibition against in the wounding of I don't really want to have all these needs because that would mean something about me, or I'll get hurt, or whenever I do take something in, then it goes bad, so I don't want to take it in at all, or I'm going to take it in and then I'm going to distract myself and I'll do it for a little while and then I'll feel unworthy of it because who am I to things go so well. There's all kinds of ways it's going to show up in your food and body work. It can show up in things like water. It can show up in maybe they have PCOS and their supplement regimen that you've helped them with was working really well and they just stopped doing it. There's a couple different barriers that might be, but today I'm just talking about nourishment. So why do our clients have nourishment barriers? Like I just said earlier, but one really specific one I see a lot is around needs. Needs are a really big deal for our clients because diet culture reinforces wounds that people probably already have some of, even a little bit. But even without that, let's say you grow up and you have a non-diet family and people really attuned, but you just grow up in diet culture and you're always getting hammered. They're going to try to get you some way, somehow. So maybe it doesn't happen for you. I have a client that she does have a little bit of just the whispers of diet culture in her background, but she never even went on any kind of food restrictive thing until she was in her 40s. And it was this really, she did have a trauma in her background, but it wasn't around food, but it was around body a little bit. But what was really interesting that she basically went to CrossFit and just got involved in that community, and she happened to go to a place that was really into paleo and really strict eating, and she got into it because she enjoyed the community aspect of it, and that's how it got started for her. And then she ended up having cancer, had surgery, had struggled eating, and then that turned on all of this fear about having needs because it might get might turn restrictive, or it might be painful. So I'm just not going to have them at all. I'm not going to deal with any of it. So that's a nourishment barrier. I don't want to have it because I'm so scared of it. And again, I'm not going to go too much more deeply into this client's case, but just to let you know that can show up at any time. by things that happen in adulthood, not just childhood, but it's pretty significant usually, and deeper when it's happened earlier in life. So how are we going to work through a nourishment barrier with our clients? Just by being curious. Noticing that, like, I know you were really into, and I know you said you were feeling better with your water intake, and you're less fuzzy thinking at the end of the day, and maybe not as headachy. And I'm noticing that that's kind of fallen away just by talking to you and what you just mentioned. I have more headaches again, or I'm noticing your food journals you used to write your water intake, and I don't see that. Just curious. And you take it where it goes. And that's just one example of how to work with, like, what's happening there, like what makes things fall away. Could be busyness, but oftentimes it's usually like either there's too much in the system, they don't have enough capacity to do all the self-care, and that's not a new enough neural pathway yet for them. Or it's just like things were going good, and that's like, oh gosh, things are going good. And then all the other things I already talked about. So nourishment barriers basically are just this, I'll answer that question in a second. Nourishment barriers can also just happen because we don't have like an internal structure of knowing how to self-soothe. So we might get something, we don't know what to do with it, and it's just kind of bouncing around in there, but unless you really help them with consistency, it's not going to stick either. So is it they are upset that they have needs? Yes. If you've got any kind of early, especially like, it can be anytime 0 through 5 or 6 or 7, but it could be anytime throughout, like, growing up. But if you've had times where your needs just weren't met consistently, if the people who are supposed to provide for your needs were inconsistent, critical, sometimes they were like attuned and sometimes they weren't, or if the hand that feeds you literally will also slap you at the same time, you may not want to have needs. It might be scary, you might be angry about it, because your character strategy to survive would be, I'm going to be tough and rugged and not be so soft to have so many needs. And it can vacillate all around throughout people's lives as well. So there's a lot of little clues you're going to get as to like how they live their life. Are they, you'll see in how they operate, like they're doing the same thing with their food. It's just the same strategy, but it's showing up through their food and how they come to the table. So those are your clues to look for. If they're upset, if they're angry about it, if they have needs. They don't have the bandwidth yet, like you said. Yep, they might not have the bandwidth to like do life, like be, let's say, you'll see this a lot, like highly, so you'll see some people who maybe have families and they have a career, or they're in school and they're doing volunteer work, but then they can't take care of themselves. So they don't have bandwidth for it all, because this early childhood stuff has really been about like, not, your needs aren't really important, like what's outside in the external environment is what's more important. I'm sharing all this because the diet, I want to really help you unpack and understand it, like bottom up nutrition and non-diet counseling. You have to use some of this, like you have to understand people's internal structure. You don't have to be a psychologist to do this. You can just, I'm going to be teaching a lot of this this fall, and like noticing character strategies and all that kind of stuff that will help you use your non-diet education to help people. But anyway, all this is challenging. It's good though. I don't know if you meant hard work based on our perspective or our clients, but I would say both. But it's good work. I just put that out there. I'm trying to think of anything else, but nourishment barrier is just this whole thing of, it's really hard for people to come to the table, get their groceries consistently. They're not consistent with it. They sometimes forget how to feed themselves. Those are all signs for you of like, it is really hard when something else is going on. And it can take months and even years for that to be really consistent, that they can feed themselves and have the clarity with their signals. Being able to reach for what they need and feel like that they don't have to earn it to bring it in. They can grab what they want and take it in, and it's safe to take it in. They can yield to it. So those things. Could it be priorities? Hard work for the client? Yeah, totally. But priorities, remember what we value. If we don't value our needs and we don't value ourselves, and they might say mentally, yeah, I know it's really important to like get groceries every week because Otherwise, my meal plan goes to hell and I don't eat, or I just eat whatever's around and I live off Starbucks and then I do that and then I don't feel satisfied and then I binge. They want to be in that cycle. There's permission. But again, really keep going back though, back and back and back. And underneath permission is there a nourishment barrier or not? Yeah, so there's values of like, do I value myself? What does getting cared for, like, was that normal for me? And if not, like, you know, you've done interviews with clients where you can see like their early eating was kind of haphazard and they got maybe fed, but there wasn't a lot of thought put into it. And then sometimes that's because of the caregiver's early stressors and all that kind of stuff. So there will be a little bit of like, they don't have a home note of normalcy in getting groceries and in cooking some meals, or, you know, sometimes you just start with people. And this is where, again, I'm giving you a lot today, but like really backing up. The need is clear. What do we have the capacity for with that need in terms of getting food on the table? That's literally a session I did last night. So start with that. Start with like where the barrier is around getting nourishment in. It could be like they love to cook. They can't get to the grocery store. It could be that they think this is all really important, but they won't make the time to think about any of it. Even in a session, when you try to like sit down and do some, you know, meal planning that's really simple, they'll continuously change the subject. Notice these things, and very gently, just like, I know it seems like it's really important that you do some meal planning so you get a really good meal on the table a couple nights a week that you really enjoy. But I'm noticing you're changing the subject quite a bit. Say more about that. Or say, you know, is there something about that? Whatever. Anyway, I'm going to sign off for today around this idea. Let yourself think about it. When you're in your sessions this week, see if you notice where the nourishment barrier is. Okay. Yeah, that's when they don't come back. Totally. Yeah. If they don't feel like they are getting somewhere, even they say they want to do something, our job is to hold that space for that ambivalence, that contradiction, and go deeper with that. That's what makes people stay. You know, and diet culture talk is really important. They need that, but sometimes it's really this stuff. It's like they get it. Or they need a lot of reinforcement with it, and they turn back to it because that's the current home note. They've never had somebody really sit with them and like plumb in there in the depths of like what's going on with like their nourishment barrier. So thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.